Alright, we're gonna watch this video by Linus about the Xbox Handheld. I actually watched the Xbox game show and I totally missed the fact that it was an Xbox Handheld.
It's an Xbox! It's an ROG Ally! It's the Xbox ROG Ally X! And there's a lot to unpack here because this is loaded with things that I have never seen before. For starters, this is my very first hands-on with the AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme, a Zen 5 16CU mobile gaming monster.
Wait, isn't that the one they used in PS4 or PS5? Oh, it's a new one. Alright, alright. What kind of processor does the PS4 and PS5 have, as well as the Pro versions? PlayStation 5, AMD Zen 2. I knew it. I knew some of it had Zen 2, but it doesn't have the Extreme Zen 2. But Zen 2 nonetheless. Let's see. Series X. Yeah, it also uses Zen 2. That's very interesting.
If my first impressions are anything to go by. It's also the first time.
Wait, hold up. 8 cores, 16 threads, 5 gigahertz boost clock? Bro, that's like Ryzen 7 9800 X3D level. That's crazy. Base clock 2. Ah, okay, so it can boost up to 5, but that's still crazy. Holy shit.
If my first impressions are anything to go by. It's also the first time a third-party PC has ever borne the Xbox name. And even bigger, yes, than even those two other things, this is the first time that the Xbox team has been given the power to dive under the hood and fundamentally alter the gaming experience on Windows. I'm talking Xbox team code right into the Windows branch. Like your PC boots directly to an Xbox full screen UI that brings together all your favorite games across Game Pass, Windows, and yes, even leading third-party app stores.
Oh, Steam as well.
But yes, even
Steam? They have access to Steam as well? That's huge. That's crazy. Okay, this handheld might be the next new thing. Like, for those who like handhelds, like, I'm not gonna buy it because I don't play on handhelds. I don't play out in the wilds. I don't go outside, guys. I don't go outside. For those who like the handhelds, this might be the new best thing.
Leading third-party app stores. Not only that, but the Xbox team was given the power to trim the fat, so to speak, meaning that in the new gaming UI, non-essential processes, and even the Windows desktop are simply not loaded, which frees up substantial system resources.
Bug snacks? Hold up. Hold the fuck up. Bug snacks. Yeah, it's not here.
They're quoting 2 gigabytes of RAM savings, which frees up.
The fuck is bug snacks? I'm curious.
Substantial system resources. They're quoting 2 gigabytes of RAM savings now and have made it very clear that they're not done yet. It's cliche, folks, but Valve appears to have awakened the giant, and this thing could be a game changer for handheld PC gaming.
That's fucking crazy.
It's also cliche, but here's a segue to our sponsor.
War Thunder. Experience a detail-packed vehicle combat game with thousands of realistically modeled aircraft, helicopters, tanks, warships, and more. Jump in for free using our link in the video description.
They must be making bucks. Or War Thunder, whatever.
Let's kick things off with the elephant in the room. The big, kind of funky-looking elephant in the room. This is not a slim, sleek console like the Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh, it's huge.
But that decision was made for a number of very good reasons. See, the goal from the Xbox team was to take the Xbox controller.
To be fair though, who cares about if it's slim? Like, doesn't matter, right? But I am a little bit worried. Is it heavy? Like, is it too heavy? Do you get tired holding it up? If that's the case, then it might be a problem, you know?
Controller experience and translate that to a handheld PC. That means large, contoured grips, full-sized analog sticks, a subtly angled screen to improve neck ergonomics, and, in the X version, impulse triggers like we first saw with the Xbox One. I assumed Microsoft wouldn't provide competing devices at this first look, so I brought a whole backpack of them, and
the
most obvious one is, of course, the original Ally, and the interface is extremely similar, with only the rhombus-shaped Xbox button really being added by comparison. This is used to access the game bar overlay and armory crate, which raises an interesting question. What's the armory crate button here for then? I don't know. I've asked if maybe it could be a reconfigurable macro button going forward. I got a firm maybe on that. Realistically, a lot of things are still up in the air on this. The back is completely different and really shows how much ASUS, probably with some help from the Microsoft team, has learned about ergonomics over the last couple of years.
Right.
Even though this is a heavy device, very much like the Ally X, which at least managed to lose the squared off corners, it feels lighter. And I was really unsure about the angled screen. Honestly, I kind of thought I'd hate it, but I completely forgot about it when I was using it, and it just feels natural.
Nice.
Of course, ASUS isn't the only ones who makes handheld PCs, and some makers figured out that ergonomics were important right from the get-go. So how's it compare to the Steam Deck?
Yeah.
Obvious.
I think the Steam Deck is probably the best one out of the bunch, just because you get access to Steam, and Steam is just king. You also get access to, you know, the internet. You can go on Chrome, you can go on YouTube with it, like etc. So I think those two are probably gonna compete: the Steam Deck and the new Xbox Ally.
Obviously, the middle section is way thicker, and it's noticeably heavier. But from a package,
It's okay. It's noticeably heavier, but it's not that much heavier. What is it, like 75 grams? All right, that's still over 10%. Okay, but still, that's not huge, you know. It's not crazy.
standpoint, it's actually less wide, and you do get the benefit of larger face buttons, though you lose the touchpads that many Steam Deck users really love. As for the Switch 2, I had intended to talk more about this comparison, but it's clear from looking at them that these are entirely different classes of device, and the customer for one is simply not going to be the customer for the other.
No.
Bottom line, while
I mean, yes, but no. Here's the thing. If you ask a kid what console they want, they're gonna want the Switch. But I think they will thank you if you give him or her the Steam Deck or this new Xbox Ally. They will thank you. In the future.
Weight might be a turnoff for some. I think they nailed the ergonomics on this, though ironically, actually feels a little closer to the curves of the DualSense than it does to the Xbox controller. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing. Now, I mentioned there are two versions of the Xbox Ally, and they're...
Bro, that's way too close to the corner, man. What? You don't do that. No! They're gonna fall.
Now, I mentioned there are two versions of the Xbox Ally, and there are enough differences between them that you will not.
Hold up. ROG Xbox Ally X. Ah, so it's the better one that has the AI set to extreme. 24 gigs of memory, 1 terabyte storage, pretty good. And the other one has set to A, which is already a thing in, I think, in PS5 or Xbox. Anyways, that's a little bit shitty, to be honest. 16 gigs of memory, I mean, I wish they just gave it 24. 512 gigabyte storage, I mean, come on. Most games are like 100 gigs, man. Well,
Want to accidentally buy the wrong one. From the outside, the X version is black versus white, with impulse triggers and an upgraded Thunderbolt-compatible USB 4 port next to the regular USB 3.2 Gen 2.
Right.
This port allows the use of powerful external GPUs. But
what?
That's about it. Across both, we get the same I/O that will be familiar to owners of previous generation Allies, with a volume rocker, UHS-2.
Bro, imagine, what? External GPUs? How the fuck does that work? Imagine if you're like on the train and you're like, oh shit, this game's so fucking demanding. Wait, let me just get my external GPU. It's just like just as big as the fucking console. You just plug it in and it's... But you have the headset so you don't hear anything and everyone's like, what the fuck is this, man? It's the worst fucking ride of my life. And you're just enjoying you're just enjoying yourself. Bro, what the fuck have we come to? External GPUs? That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard.
3.5mm combo jack and a power button with Windows Hello fingerprint reading. No biggie so far then. But inside, these are very, very different beasts. The Xbox Ally X features a cutting-edge AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme processor with 3 Zen 5 and 5 Zen 5C cores, 24 gigs of lightning-fast 8,000 megatransfers per second LPDDR5X memory, a terabyte of storage, and a whopping 80 watt-hour battery. The Xbox Ally Non-X does not have.
Why? Why do they do this? You know what? I understand this. I can understand this, and this even. But the memory, I mean the storage, the battery, why? You know what? If they lowered the power of the processor and decreased the memory and kept the battery the same, it would actually be a selling point. But now it's like, assholes.
All of those things. And while it is a little lighter, at least, it's not even smaller, and particularly disappointing to me was the inclusion of an, albeit tuned version, of AMD's Ryzen Z2A processor, which from early leaks appears to be very similar to the Zen 2-based Aerith processor from the original Steam Deck, which was announced 4 years ago.
Wow.
Now to be clear, these are both
4 years.
current-gen machines in other ways. They both use 80mm M.2 SSDs for easier upgrades, they've both got Wi-Fi 6E, and they both come with a reasonably speedy 65-watt charger, but the Non-X is weaker by enough that Microsoft explicitly positions it as a 720p gaming console.
720, okay. I'm gonna be really positive before I become negative. The screen is very small, so 720p is not a big deal. Also, they are upfront, all right? They're being transparent. They're not saying that it's 1080 or 1440p when it actually isn't. They're saying, guys, this is actually 720p. And I respect that. But, you know, on the other hand, you can see a clear difference between 720 and 1080 despite the size of the display. So I think it's all gonna come down to the price. I guess we'll see. I'm not gonna speculate.
Explicitly positions it as a 720p gaming console, which makes one of the other similarities between the two devices kind of unexpected. See, the screen is the same between both models.
Bro, which one has the right clock? One of them is actually in the future or in the past.
And actually, for that matter, the same as previous versions of the Ally. 1080p, 120Hz with FreeSync Premium variable refresh rate, and 500 nits peak brightness. So I guess on this one, you're either gonna render out a lower resolution or rely on AMD's FSR upscaling in order to reach native. In either case, it's an okay display. It's good enough that I still daily drive an Ally, but it is not on par with the eye-popping HDR, instantaneous response times, or incredible low brightness night gaming comfort of the Steam Deck OLED. One of my first questions then was, with such different hardware across the product family, how is Xbox going to manage gamers' expectations and work with publishers to optimize the experience? The answer to this is a little complex, but it is worth hearing because it gives us tremendous insight into Microsoft's vision for this device and for Xbox more broadly. Like Valve, Microsoft is working on a verified program of sorts. But unlike Valve, Microsoft obviously won't have just one piece of hardware to target, meaning I wouldn't expect to see an Xbox Ally setting in the graphics quality drop down anytime soon. So
No, I think, and I'm trying to think about it in the perspective of what's the easiest thing to do and the most logical thing to do. And I think that both of those consoles, both of those handhelds, are very close to the console, right? In performance, right? In power and performance. So they probably don't have to make a new list for the handhelds, you know?
What are they going to be doing then? Well, for one thing, they're going to be validating the usability elements, just like Valve does. Does the game support a controller? Does text scale correctly on smaller, higher DPI displays? As for the performance side, well, the strategy is going to involve using Windows telemetry data.
By the way, it's a little bit off topic, but I truly hope that these buttons, the RGB lights, I really hope that you can change it to any color that you want. I really hope so.
including specs of your machine, the game you're playing, and gaming frame rates, to group similar systems together to give gamers a rough idea of which titles will perform well. All of this is going to be presented in the game library of the Xbox full screen experience. And I'm going to come back to the game library in a second, because first, I gotta say, the UI looks slick.
It does.
And more importantly, it's the first thing you'll see when you boot up your handheld or wake it up from sleep. They've done so much here. On top of the resource optimization that I mentioned earlier, the Xbox team has a really cool multitasking interface that gives you quick access to a browser or Discord, and
that's so fucking huge. You have the Windows, look, you have the Windows taskbar. You can probably add to the taskbar, like Chrome or whatever you're using, and Discord, Battle.net, Spotify, etc. And you can download extensions probably from the internet. This is crazy.
They claim they have already managed to triple the efficiency of standby, with a ton more work coming to make this the most console-like PC experience you've ever had. None of which is to say that you will lose out on any of the good things about gaming on Windows. Compatibility is expected to be on par with regular Windows, and should you desire a more desktop-like experience, you can access that using the joysticks as a mouse, or with standard peripherals, either connected directly or through a dock. The system will just load up the necessary, either connected directly or
Microsoft Surface Thunderbolt 4 dock.
Through a dock. The system will just load up the necessary Windows processes and
$300.
Hopefully put them back to sleep when you go back to the Xbox full screen experience. They didn't have a firm answer on that one. Nor did they have a firm answer on how Windows updates are going to be managed. Are they going to be more Windows-like, with the constant interruptions and the background resource hogging and the flavin?
No,
or are they going to be
not.
more Xbox-like?
Probably Xbox-like, yeah.
Okay, let's come back to the game library now. The idea here was to bring all your games together in one place. And I know, I can already see the XKCD comic in my mind's eye. But this implementation looks like one that I might actually want to use, bringing together your Windows games,
it looks great.
Your Game Pass games, your cloud-streamed games, and even remote play from your Xbox console, allowing you to quickly and easily synchronize your progress and achievements and your recently played titles, so you can just grab and go and game anywhere. The new
Oh, right. I never thought about that. You can play on PC, on Steam, and then when you go somewhere, you take the handheld and you already have that progress saved. I never thought about that. What? I'm so stupid. Okay, that's really cool. That is really cool. But I'm not that much of an addict.
Game bar also, honestly, kind of sick. For the first time ever, I have wanted a hotkey to access the game bar. Who'da thunk it? Instead of a big, cluttery full-screen interface, they use the shoulder buttons.
I'll be right back. You know how when you go to a bathroom and you're just gonna be there for like 1 minute, you're just gonna pee and then come back, and you just get stuck on the phone. That's what happened with me. Anyways, I'm gonna cut that out.
To flip through menus in a way that was honestly intuitive to me within seconds of my hands-on time.
That looks great.
They also showed off gamepad support, by the way, for entering pins from the Windows lock screen.
All right.
It was super cool. And all of this sounds great, at least for the privileged few who own an Xbox Ally X, but what about the rest of us? Well, coming back to the vision. Hiding away at the bottom of one of the slides was a very interesting little nugget that described these innovations as being great for handhelds like the Xbox Ally and Ally X. That like is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Okay.
While the highlight today is obviously the partnership with Asus ROG, when the Xbox team got jacked into Windows development, it seems to me that they weren't tasked with cleaning up Windows gaming for one premium handheld device. My impression is that they were tasked with cleaning it up more broadly and bringing it in line with Microsoft's vision that in the future, every screen is an Xbox. So I think that at some point, we can expect general Windows users to benefit immensely from these developments.
Well, let's hope.
Many of which are positioned as long-term projects that will be constantly improved with feedback from both partners and from gamers, which is a really good thing because while I couldn't get a firm answer on pricing of these new allies, I'm expecting them to be more in line.
900? Holy shit. Hey, you can get a 2 terabyte one. Wonder what that costs. Anyways, Xbox is doing great things right now. Xbox is winning, and Sony ain't doing shit.
with previous allies than with Microsoft's traditional console competitors. They're gonna hurt a little. Hurt almost as much as I feel like the Xbox folks watching people like me lament the death of handheld gaming on Windows have hurt. First, they must have been hurt because they knew that what we were saying was true and they were powerless to fix it. And then it must have hurt because they knew that they'd finally been given the power to do something, to fix Windows gaming, but they've been stuck operating in stealth mode. Well, now that the cat's out of the bag and they're ready to talk about it, the energy is palpable, both from ASUS and Microsoft, and also from the other folks that have laid hands on these devices. I'm also feeling another kind of energy, the energy to tell you about our sponsor.
War Thunder! Take to the skies, strike from the sea, and dominate on land with War Thunder's thousands of vehicles, each modeled accurately from their real-life counterparts. You'll be immersed in the action thanks to authentic sound effects, in-depth customization options, and realistic damage modeling. Their X-ray view can let you see where your vehicle took damage, giving you vital information to make your next engagement go even more smoothly.
That's very cool.
And if you're worried everything sounds too hardcore, they have multiple distinct modes, so whether you're a mil-sim enthusiast or a let me just blow up a few things casual enjoyer, there's fun to be had all around. Best of all, besides their PC and console versions, they have mobile apps for Android and iOS, meaning you can jump into the action anytime, anywhere. Join over 70 million players and revel in the destruction. Use our link in the description today to get started for free.
If you guys enjoyed this video, you know what? I'd say the closest analog is when we first checked out the Steam Deck under very similar circumstances. We didn't get to do
All right. What a great video. Okay, so now we know a lot more about the console. Why do I keep saying console? Now we know a lot more about the handheld. A lot more. And it's looking good, honestly. Everything's looking good except maybe the price. But still, 900 bucks. Isn't that what GPUs cost nowadays? It's fucking ridiculous. But anyways, how do we optimize our handheld device? What if we don't run 99% of the Windows features? Brilliant! Yep. The optimized Windows announcement is arguably much bigger than the handheld itself. Yeah, I agree. Honestly, it's huge news. Windows on handhelds has been terrible experience since always. Getting a version that kills bloat and actually considers the controls a user as available might have just saved Windows in this segment. I mean, true. And honestly, I think Windows has to make big changes soon, because there's a lot of people that are going away from Windows. Another proof that competition is really important to push those huge companies to rethink being complacent and giving the customer minimal improvements. Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. If not for competition, then it's a monopoly, right? And monopolies don't do anything that the consumer wants, unfortunately. But it is what it is. No one's going to buy it, it'll be too expensive, sells out. Yeah, that's also the thing. Like, people always say, oh, it's too expensive, nobody's gonna buy it. And, you know, with the GPU, the RX 9070 XT, it was 600 bucks on launch in the US. And people were like, oh, it's too expensive. Bitch, it got sold out in Europe, I think it was $900. And it sold out like this. First day, like first 30 minutes, it's sold out. So, no. People actually just want to buy it for any price whatsoever. Like, it's crazy. I think even if it was 1,500 bucks, it would still sell out. It's that crazy. Unfortunate. But people just can't chill. Alright guys, what do you think about this? I love this. These are great news. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. And if you enjoyed this video, then like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.